told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen.
And welcome to Uncarcerated. I'm Lee Scott. I'm your host each and every week as we take a deep dive into the criminal justice world, and we try to have conversations with people that are enlightening, informative, sometimes entertaining. That's why we have other people on, because I'm not very entertaining, so it's always good to have somebody in to tell their story. But really, we kind of focus on people's journey into the criminal justice system, their experience in the prison system itself. We've expanded out to the mental health world, mental health institutions, just basically any institution. And eventually, we'll talk with people that have been separated from the world through illness. Anytime someone has been separated from the normal day-to-day, but really our focus is institutions and sort of rehumanizing people, and then the main focus of the show is people's journey home out of the prison system, and where there's some gaps in support. We talk about all sorts of things that involved with prison reform, and we're really lucky to have a good friend of mine on the show today, Kevin Scott of Community Spring and Just Income. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Did I do your intro correctly? Do you have more? Do I say Dr. Kevin? Is that what I do here?
Captain.
We'll fix all this in post. Admiral Kevin.
No, that's right. Yeah, my main things are I work for Community Spring. I'm the project manager of Just Income GNV, which GNV means Gainesville. We live in Gainesville. And then I work out at the shelter as well.
Can you just start, I guess we're going to kind of work backwards here. Obviously, I want to talk about Just Income and the important work that you're doing with support as people come out of institutions, because it's really amazing what you're doing. But I kind of want to work backwards and let people know who you are and how you got involved with the world of criminal justice in the first place.
Yeesh.
Don't worry, we have a lot of time.
Yeah, holy fuck. Most of my issues have come from addiction stuff, really. That's my biggest thing. I come from a family of addicts. I don't know how far back you want to go, but really, my mom was a very, very active addict when I was a kid, when I was little especially. And so my older brother and I, he's 3 years older than I, had pretty intense childhoods because of that. So we met with abuse of every stripe that was imaginable. So we were exposed to, everything. It was violence, sexual abuse, mental and emotional abuse. We saw our mom die a couple times in front of us. She overdosed. It was super intense. And you would think, holy fuck, I'll never touch a drug my entire life. But of course, as we know, the opposite typically happens. And as special as I want to think I am, I'm pretty textbook in that way.
Yeah.
And so, when I was in my first experience with an institution I was in high school. I was in 10th grade. And I had been fucking up. I had been partying a bunch with my friends and a little bit with my older brother. And I had been doing a lot of drinking and, smoking cigarettes and things like that. And then started to do some heavier drugs, and things really started to get out of control. And I had run away. I was getting in trouble, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I'm a fairly intelligent person, I think. So I tell myself. And my grades really started to I was failing everything. I had more days of absences from high school than actually days of showing up, and the school was this kid's this isn't gonna fly anymore. So
this is not gonna work for us.
Yeah, this is not gonna work. So my dad, one day I was supposed to go to school. He didn't wake me up, and I woke up. I was like, "Holy shit! I'm gonna be late." He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." He's like, "We're gonna go talk to a counselor this morning." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." I'm not going to school. We went down to this place. It was called LIFE, which stood for Life is for Everyone. That was the acronym. And in hindsight, now especially knowing like the place was like notorious, and I never left. It was a trap. They got me down there. They're like, we're gonna talk to this counselor, and talked to the counselor. And the counselor was like, look, your parents have decided they want you to stay, check you into this like residential facility. It was an institution, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I'll go home. I'll get my things. I'll come back, and I was just gonna fucking book it. You know what I mean? And they were like, no, like you're here.
We've seen that one before.
They're like, yeah, like I thought I was so clever. They're like, you're here now. Like
right.
they'll bring you your clothing, and so so I was a part of that.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that a couple of times in jail. I was like, let me just go grab my stuff. I'll be back. You know? I was like, there's got to be a way out of this that someone hasn't thought of.
Yeah.
I'm smarter than this.
My good shoes are at home.
Right.
Yeah, I left my good shit there. My toothbrush. I have a condition where I need a special medicated hairbrush. Whatever. So yeah, I stayed there, and the place was really fucked up in hindsight, especially. And there's actually like a lot of like support groups for people that went through places like that. It was like pretty traumatizing. It was all kids. It was based on the 12 steps, but they had like boiled it down to 8, and it was like really abusive. And like there was a place called, I think it was called Straight, maybe just called Straight in Tampa. That was like a sister program. Anyway, it
was like Oxford House in a military school had a baby.
Basic, yes, right. Yeah, it was intense. It was really intense. So like, and I was in there for. Like when you first get in there, you never leave the property, and then like you have to like earn. There's like they're called steps. You're on first step, then you have to earn second. You get a little more privilege. You get to see your family. You get to go home at night, and they bring you back in the morning, and you like gradually get your freedom restored, basically. And so that whole process for me took 18 months and a day. So that was my first like institutional like punishment, basically.
Did you adjust well in this institution? I mean, I know that obviously adjusting well is pretty fluid, and it sounds like a harsh place and it's abusive, but was there any point where you were like, oh, well, this structure works for me better than school, or I'm getting praise from this counselor, or whatever it was, or was it just you left an abusive situation and went to an even more abusive situation, and you were just going to put your head down and get through it?
Yeah, I think I just like did the things to get through it more than anything else. Like, and so there was some stuff I think that was probably good. Like there was like a few maybe aha moments. I'd had a really traumatic childhood, and so I think there was some like maybe some breakthrough occasions here and there where like I was able to connect some dots and like kind of like get a few layers deeper within myself. That was good, and it did get me away from like at the time, which was like some like shitty company, like I was running with like these kids in school that were like, they were fucking up too, and there was like some dangerous shit going on. There was like some fights and people like getting weapons, and like there was some like seedy stuff. So it wasn't like they weren't totally wrong to be like this kid's troubled currently. But yeah, I don't think I necessarily needed that exactly. I could have done without the trauma.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was a lot of us, like other people that we know were also in the same place at the same time that I was. Oddly enough, some people in some bands that you enjoy. Mm-hmm. We spent some time in there together. Oddly enough.
Yeah.
So it was, there was some good company here and there. Yeah. And then, so I mean, and also that was like very like recovery based too. It was like modeled off the 12 steps. So like that started to come more into my life. And, I was like mandated to go to meetings. Like I had to go to X number of like AA, NA meetings on the outside as part of that. And I was 15 at the time and going to like, Sarasota AA meetings where like, the low end of age was like 50s probably, so I was like, this isn't my fucking life, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like an old person. Like it was like, to me it felt like unrelatable, but there was something that was like I don't know, like I didn't end up in this meeting on accident. Like I think I do have like a problem with like substances, and like I do like I'm a pretty textbook addict, alcoholic.
In my experience, I think we identify a lot with each other. I can relate to you on, the whole smart thing. I think it works maybe against you in some areas, especially when you're young and you get a ton of information. If there's no purpose behind it and there's no love and care and emotional intelligence, a lot of times information and these systems and these institutions just end up becoming a way to manipulate. It becomes like, I learned how to work this system and I learned how to talk my way in and out of these types of things. And I'm wondering if along this journey, if that kind of stuff worked against you, in that, instead of getting better, you were just getting better at it.
Oh man, that's fucking well said. For sure. That makes sense.
Thanks. I'm really good at this.
yeah. Man, you should have a podcast.
You should.
You're very good. Think about it. Don't rule it out. So that's absolutely true. This has come up a couple times too in other conversations I've had. Never put quite so eloquently as you have said it, but that having some smarts can actually really work against you. Like, I have for sure found myself convincing myself that something was okay, or being able to like mental gymnastics myself into doing something really unhealthy just because of like I can like intelligence myself through it. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not. I was better at navigating the system because of like my whatever.
And I don't honestly. I don't even think. I think in hindsight, I kind of see what I was doing in my relationships and in institutions and at my career, all these areas. In real time, I didn't think I was being consciously manipulative. I thought, oh, I've learned a lot, and so I can skip all these steps. I don't need those steps. I don't need to go through this because I figured it out. I wasn't like consciously trying to like screw the system. I just was like, man, I got it.
Yeah.
So.
I got it. Yeah. High school was kind of a train wreck, and I ended up getting out of that program, going back to high school, back to my regular high school. I spent a little time at a school that was like alternative high school because I had missed so much time away. And it was high school that had ashtrays, and I was like, oh, this is fucking great. It was high school you could smoke at, which is fucking insane now. But it was like literally, we would go in we would just hang out and smoke. It was fine. It was like,
right.
It was completely fine. And it was like, work at your own pace. So the high school was just work at your own pace, like do you, and usually it was like, people would take a long time to get through a course, but because I had, some smarts and like at least book smarts, I was like, I'm gonna knock out English in like 2 weeks,
right?
And so I like crushed it, and I went through so many classes while I was at the high school with ashtrays that they
Judd Nelson was your principal.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that they kicked me out of the Breakfast Club, and they were like, there's nothing else we can do for you here at it was called New Directions. So we got to send you back to your regular high school. So that's how I finished high school. At least I graduated with the big school. But I was in and out of sobriety for years, and more not sober than sober, like by a huge measure, and ended up drinking more, having more consequences, doing more drug use, trying new drugs, doing those there's like certain drugs like I would never, especially I'd seen my mom do all kinds of stuff. I'd watched my mom die. I'd watched my mom get the shit beat out of her by these other like junkies, and I was like, fuck those drugs. That's the level that, that might be other people's story, but not mine, until it was my story. And I was doing all that same shit, like doing all the fucking drugs, and like, there goes the money, and there goes everything. You know what I mean?
Opportunities
like,
and right,
all that shit. Yeah.
At any point in using, I know looking back on it, you can probably say this, but was there any point there where you knew in real time, this is not fun, and I'm doing it anyway, and now you get caught in that loop of shame and guilt and embarrassment, and, there's no way out of this loop because this is not me just partying with my friends? Or were you just like just doing what you were doing, not consciously?
Oh man, I was hyper conscious.
Okay.
Like, and it was like miserable because
I'm
like,
super self-aware, so
same.
Right.
Yeah. It was like there was no fooling me. You know what I mean? Like I knew exactly what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am fucking up. I am medicated. Like my little brother died when I was 23. He was 14, and like I just did not know how to deal with that. Could not, did not, and so like that just like ate me up. And so as I was like doing more drugs, getting deeper and deeper, like spiraling, I was hyper aware. I'd been through enough, recovery stuff younger too, like in all those like salty old dude meetings I had been forced to go to. I had heard enough to know, and from my own like self-awareness of like, I'm medicating, I'm trying to fill a void, I'm avoiding, I don't know how to deal, like, this is me numbing out, like all of that stuff. And I would like, we came up like in like the punk rock scene, like hardcore scene, where like there's like, especially back then, I'm so out of it now, it's hard to say, but like back then especially, there was like a romanticized level of like drunkenness and fuckitness and like
Bukowski-esque, right?
Like this is like charming and like we're like at the fucking vanguard of like blah blah whatever,
right.
And so it was like very glamorous and like romanticized in a weird way. And when having that awareness of like this is not fun for me, like I can't stop, I can't keep going. I'm positive of both of those things. I can't do it one more time. I can't not do it one more time. And just like, oh my God, like I'm really in this. I'm really stuck. And I remember being out. I'd be out like at like parties or like out at bars, whatever. And like I'm going to the fucking bathroom to like do some more drugs and like running off to other venues to go do like the harder drugs that didn't really want anyone to see I was doing. And like coming back and like doing all that shit. And like I remember like having like breakdowns like out in public, like start bawling, doing like wild shit, like punching a wall and like breaking my hand. I just like crying for like my brother, like making a scene all the time. I just did not know how to. I just didn't know how to deal with like all of the traumatic events of my life. I didn't know how to like process everything, and I was just too scared, I think, to like really get into what was going on.
Yeah.
And then. Yeah, so I would go, like, I had a few, like, oh shit moments, like, overdose type stuff, and then I'd kind of, like, pull it together, and then, like, somehow, like, justify doing some, like, small thing again, and of course, like, I don't know how to halfway do anything. That just kicks the whole fucking door open, and, in short enough time, I was, stealing stuff and doing more drugs and doing a bunch of shady shit behind people's backs and like just do like a bunch of really like embarrassing, shameful things, and then like ultimately putting myself in all kinds of crazy situations and then going to prison. I was in there for 3.5 years. Just totally, it was everything. I mean, we can get into that whole experience, but
yeah, before we get into the prison experience, I just kind of want to like tie up the pre-prison experience that you're having, and I really appreciate you sharing this with us, Kevin. By the way, we're on Uncarcerated talking to Kevin Scott of Community Spring and Just Income Gainesville, and we're going to talk about some of the important work he's doing. But did you have the experience of duplicitousness, or were you all Bukowski all the time, or was there a part of you that was, and this kind of circles back to my manipulation question, but was there a part of you that was smart and presentable and you were like, hey, I've earned this over here, my life is hard enough as it is and no one's really going to know about it. They think that I've gotten better, and then I'm able to sort of sneak off and do that. Was that a trap for you, or were you just balls to the wall, like this was your life all the time?
I think I would. I feel like that was like seasonal. Like I would go really into the deep end, and then I would like get a little more presentable, and then like really go into the deep end again.
Yeah.
There was some part of me, and in hindsight, this was very much my addiction, like kind of calling the shots of like, there was some messaging within myself where I thought like, I deserve this. I've been through so much shit, whatever it may be, poor me, like this is okay for me to do, which is, you know, pretty common just way to like justify doing whatever fucked up stuff I was doing at the time. But there was something that I was telling myself, like, this is okay, more mental gymnastics, like, man, you were abused, your brother died, you know, the litany of
some entitlement.
Right. Yes, and absolutely. Like, just, I was entitled to this. I had like earned this in some like unique way, or like I was deserving of this. But this was just like really just more suffering. It wasn't actual relief. It wasn't like in some way restoring the balance of like shit's cool now. Like, in fact, it was like really compounding things and just making it worse and worse.
I remember having this conversation with my mom when she begun, because my mom was really responsible and a good mother for 20 years of my life, and then my parents got divorced and she went off the deep end. And you know, I caught her smoking cigarettes one time and I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, it was this sort of like rebellious entitlement. And I was like, you know, she was taking drugs and, you know, hustling and stealing and selling it to somewhere else, and you know, that whole loop that she was in at the very beginning of the pill mill cycle in Florida. And I remember her telling me like, you guys got this part of me, and so I get to do this over here. And I'm like, you're not getting back at anybody, you know. There's no part of you that like where you're like, I'm going to show them it's you that you're hurting. And we don't see that when we're in it. We're like, we get this, we deserve this. And it's not like you're showing anyone, you know,
fucking yourself right in the face.
Right.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. Like, this came up, I guess a few years ago now, talking with one of my buddies who's been in recovery for a long time. We were just talking about like journey of the madness. And this is absolutely true, is that like, throughout all of that, I think even like from like a very young age, I always had like crazy respect and admiration for people that were like clean in their minds, like people that were like vegan straight edge. I always, you know, like I listened to a bunch of like straight edge hardcore music growing up. I always like idolized those types of people, and like there's some part of me that always like aspired to like this higher level of like living, or like a healthier way of being, and like being like pure, you know. And I think that like maybe we'll get to like to the meditation part of my experience, but like for all of the times when I was like, I'm trying to numb out, I'm trying to bliss out, I'm trying to like disconnect and get away from like what was happening in my life, trying like to not feel, weirdly on the flip side of that, what I really wanted more than anything else was to be totally authentic, and like not to like check out, but to really like check in. And I didn't really even know that's what I wanted in my heart of hearts until like I kind of started like meditating and like actually taking those like brave measures of like just being with whatever was like arising, but realizing even when I was like getting fucked up, what I really wanted was not to like be separate from the world. I just wanted to like know how to be in it, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like I've always like, there were times where I was like really, really fucked up and listening to like straight edge hardcore, and I was like, fuck yeah,
right,
yes, like I am inspired, like, you know what I mean? Like I never felt closer to being clean than when I was really fucked up.
Yeah.
And I was like, it seems so doable.
Yeah.
But of course in that moment, you know, I had fed the beast, and I was like, you know, my addiction was not like screaming into my ear in those moments, but there was some part of me that has always like craved and aspired to be authentic and present and clear in my mind and clear in my life, even when I was getting fucked up. There's something that's been like this weird like dichotomy of like, get super fucked up, don't get fucked up ever.
Right.
You know, it's very extreme.
And there's so much fear wrapped up in that. It seems counterintuitive. Like, you could be going 100 miles an hour down the highway and you've just robbed a drug dealer and the cops are chasing you. And yet that is so much less scary than sobriety and being present in the world. That's the terrifying part.
For real.
Yeah.
It's scary. I mean, like meditation is such a like big part of my life, you know, and it looks so passive of like, you know, people just sitting there staring at the floor. There's not a whole lot happening there, but like there's so much happening there. Like it really is being with absolutely everything that arises, all the stuff that's like really comfortable, all the things that are very uncomfortable. There's something like very brave and courageous and like wonderfully authentic about just like being with things as they are in this moment right now all the time, which is super challenging. Like you say, it's like scarier than like some things that would outwardly seem like really terrifying. Right? Like that to me was like the most like, and my first experience in prison with meditating was like really a very much like a eureka kind of moment, like a holy shit, this is the whole enterprise, this is the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I want to talk about that not wanting to be in reality as we dovetail into your prison experience. I want to talk a little bit about your first few experiences in the courtroom. Was there a part of you that just could not believe you were in front of a judge, thought you were going to get out of this, thought you were going to go home? What was the sentencing, that final sentencing process like for you, or were you hyper aware like, oh no, I'm fucking going away?
I still can't believe it.
Right.
No, yeah. I was like, you know, holy shit, like clearly amazing wake-up call to like my life. I need, like, there are clearly things I need to like address. This is like real bad, obviously, but like did not expect the outcome to be the outcome. Still thought like, you know, clearer heads will prevail here and I'll like do whatever, you know what I mean? I didn't think it was going to end up in incarceration at all. So yeah, when it came down to it, when like they said like you're going in, like immediately, like as of this moment, I could not believe it. You know, felt like I had slipped through some like bizarre like wormhole into some other like alternate reality. Yeah, it was intense. And then
how much jail time had you done before you had to leave for prison? Was
a
that
day or two? Period.
Oh wow!
Like that was it. And so like, and then yeah. So then when they were like, "You're going to go in,"
so you didn't even get prison training camp. You know, that experience of like asking old timers like, how does this go? Like, what do I do?
There was that little window of, how long was that? I guess it was like 3 months. I mean, they were like, you're going to go in. And then I was sort of like held for like 3 months waiting the transport and all that stuff. Okay. So there was like a 3-month jail experience before the prison experience, and so I was able to get a little bit of insights, which was valuable and also like didn't make sense at the same time. Like one of the guys that I ended up being like cellmates with at the jail was like, we became like really good buddies. He was on like a similar wavelength, like brain wise and, you know, just like interest wise. And he was going before me. He'd already been sentenced, so he was about to leave, basically. And so he was nice enough to write back to me to say, like, holy shit, like, prepare yourself, brother. Here's what's going to happen. The first thing that's going to happen is this, and the first thing you should do is this. You're going to want to buy your hygiene stuff when you get there. Don't do your phone list till you get to your permanent camp. He gave me some, like, inside knowledge, which turned out to be, like, wise.
Right.
And it was sage wisdom, which was good. However,
I had a Scrabble buddy that had done 7 years that I knew from the streets. Like, he had gone to prison when we were like 18, 19. And at that point in our lives, we were like, oh man, Cole went to prison. Like, it was a big deal, right? Yeah, and so he was gone for like 7 years, and he was back, headed again to prison. And this was my first time being in trouble, and I played Scrabble with him every day, and he didn't know that's what I was doing, but I was interviewing him, you know? I was gleaning so what happens if this happens, and what happens if this happens? So it was really valuable to have that, to be prepared, yeah.
Yeah, so I will say also, too, the guy Matt was his name. It was the first hint that I had that, like, while I was going to be incarcerated, I could maintain my humanity through that experience. Like, that no matter, like, what the system itself was doing, like starving us, freezing us, burning us, making things, like, as miserable as possible, that I could, like, still, like, have connections with another person. I could laugh. I could, like, I could read. I could better myself. Like, there was, like, some, like, elements of, like, despite all this horrible shit happening, like, I'm going to, like, do something positive if I can, like, stick with people who are doing, like, positive stuff. If I can, like, maintain that level of, like, there's something in me that they'll never get type thing, that I could, like, actually maintain it. And he was funny as shit. Like,
yeah, the laughter in there is so important. I've never laughed in my life the way that I've laughed when I was gone. And it really is this release of endorphins and chemicals and pent-up stress, and a lot of funny shit happens while you're there to laugh at.
Oh my God.
But there is that, and I'm hearing this laughter now from my son, who was in county jail for 3 years, which is like 20 years in prison, you know.
Real.
And he just came home a few weeks ago, and he's adjusting well, and I'm really proud of him. But I hear him laugh this laugh of someone who hasn't laughed for a few years, you know. And it's like, it's the most beautiful sound in the world, you know.
Shit.
It's such a release.
Yeah, like I'm sure you had the same or similar experiences of, like, there's some, like, crazy things to be entertained by in there. Like, we made nicknames for everybody in our pod, and so we would, like, we were, like, locked in X number of hours per day, and we would stand at the window and we would make names for everyone, like, walking out.
It's triangle face guy.
Yeah, right. Like, crazy shit, like, and we named all the guards. The one guy had, like, these, like, crazy looking, like, bumps. One of the guards, like, on the back of his head looks so fucking gross. We call him Star Crunch.
Forrest Whitaker. Yeah.
We call him Star Crunch. Like, there were so many, like, just, like, disturbing names. There was this guy named Champagne who made his own shorts. He was, like, his own tailor. He made his own, like, Daisy Dukes. And, like, he was, like, known. He always said, I have razor blades in my mouth at all times. I can spit them with deadly accuracy. There was one morning I was walking by, and he had, like, pulled the mattresses down off of the bunks in his cell, and he was, like, had this dude, like, in his clutches. He was, like, spooning this guy, and the guy was, like, staring up at the door, like, oh my God. It was intense. Like, it was wild shit going on in there. But, like, yeah, the guy Matt, he was a good dude, and he, like, definitely, like, we bonded. He gave me some preparation, which was good, and so he was right about the advice, but then, like, separately, it was not at all like what I had maybe envisioned. Like, the reality, it looked different, it felt different. It was like, holy shit, like, I had gone from, like, a spot where, like, I was like, okay, I had, like, a little bit of, like, know-how about how, like, the county operates, and, like, had, like, a little bit of, like, like, at least I knew what was happening there at that point. And then it was like, oh shit, like, I'm starting all over again. It was like, I didn't know anybody, you're in prison. It's like, they're definitely, like, ratchet, like, they're, like, super violent, and, like, it was just like, holy fuck. And I was so exhausted my first day in prison, because I'd been, like, up all night, like, in and out of, like, this van, and, like, like, going through, like...
Where was your reception center?
Orlando.
Okay.
And, like, like, yelled at, and fucking, like, head shaved, and, like, fucking boiled in this fucking shower, and, like, all kinds of shit all day that I slept through dinner. I missed it. And I woke up and I was like, man, like, when is dinner? And, like, the guy was like, you fucking slept. Like, that was, like, 2 hours ago. Yeah. And I was totally exhausted. And I was in a cell that had no light. Like, the light didn't work. And so, like, and there was, I had nothing to read, like, nothing. It was just, like, darkness. It was miserable. I remember trying to, like, write a letter by, like, the light that was, like, kind of creeping through, like, the crack in the door. And I was like, man, this is fucking rough.
When the van pulled up to the Orlando Reception Center, did you look out and see the razor wire and guard towers? And if you were able to see that, was that the moment that you were like, holy shit, like, the thing that my parents threatened me with, or the thing that I saw on TV, the place I thought I would never come to, this is it, this is my house now? What was that feeling when you first saw the outside of this prison?
Yeah, so when I got there, it was pitch black. It was like, it must have been like 4 or 5 in the morning or something like that. It was totally dark, and it was freezing cold, and they had us all outside, totally buck naked. It was February, like the very beginning of February. It was fucking freezing out there. And then we were brought inside this facility for like what felt like forever, and they served us a meal. And I remember thinking like, holy shit, this is a lot of food on this tray, because like the county had been like starving, and I was like, damn, this is a lot of food here, great. And then eventually was brought outside hours later, and so it was like morning or something like that, like daylight, like maybe mid-morning. And then what you're describing, like, holy shit, like seeing like the buildings, seeing the campus, the towers, the fence, being led to this like butterfly dorm, and it's being like, holy fuck, like here's a cell, here's the slamming door, this is prison shit, you know what I mean?
And it all happens so fast.
They told me not to smoke drugs, but I wouldn't listen. Never thought I'd get caught and wind up in prison. Chalk it up to youth, but young age I ain't dissing. I guess I just had to get it